But Dr. Malone, however, has said that there is not enough testing in place to warrant for mass vaccinations at this point of time. The sudden suspension of Dr. Malone's account has also raised some serious doubts on Twitter's authority and even credibility. Does Twitter have enough experts with it who can actually suspend a Twitter account of a leading scientist, someone who was involved in the development of the mRNA vaccine?
We are looking at a nation being rocked by cancel culture. That's right. The ability to cancel people's freedom of speech, their voice, their opinion throughout multiple realms of media, whether it be television, radio, internet, social media, etc. Cancel culture has hit our country like a hurricane. And it is not only an area of frustration, it is an existential threat to the future of freedom, democracy, the open market in not only our country, but also the entire world. This is extremely important, not only to those who are in media, but also to the everyday average American. I'll tell you why. Because we're having issues ourselves with a group called Underground Conservatives. And in this group, we allow people to share their different opinions regarding politics, regarding nation, regarding family, regarding their belief in God and what have you. And what's happening is we are having what is called fact checkers. I call them fake fact checkers. And they are going through and scrutinizing the posts being released by members of our group. And not only are they scrutinizing these posts, they are making judgments upon the intent of those who posted it, often assuming that the intent is malice or to cause harm or to cause damage, etc. We're talking about posts that, let's say, bring up questions about whether or not people should get vaccinated. And when people question this, what happens is Facebook fact checkers end up saying that this is promoting harm and could cause danger to someone's health. And so they say that they should not be able to post things that question vaccines, question the current status in terms of disseminating booster shots, etc. And so the problem that's arising is this. There are a number of doctors now who are coming out and questioning the veracity of vaccines for COVID-19. That's right, we've heard of Dr. Malone. Dr. Malone is the more prominent doctor who is featured on Joe Rogan's podcast, and Joe Rogan's been under extreme pressure now, people trying to pressure Spotify to not carry his podcast anymore because he interviewed Dr. Malone. And Dr. Malone being a former colleague of Dr. Fauci, and Dr. Malone is very critical of Dr. Fauci, saying that Dr. Fauci isn't being honest, isn't being true as to how COVID started, isn't being true as to the effectiveness and the safety of vaccines being used across a broad spectrum of the population. So Dr. Malone pretty much grilled Dr. Fauci and the current dissemination of vaccines for COVID-19 across our country and even the world. So Joe Rogan featured the man, and what happened was he got tremendous pressure from different types of spokespeople, and you would call them activists, who don't want him to be able to speak openly and freely in the open market, and they're asking Spotify to remove him completely from their podcasting list of hosts. The problem is Joe Rogan is the most popular media figure in the country at this time. And so if you look at any comparative program on Fox, on CNN, on MSNBC, or any other podcasters, not only podcasters, but also radio and TV personalities, nobody comes even close. Nobody's even within one half of the audience draw that Joe Rogan is. So it is going to be a tall task to remove Joe Rogan from Spotify. However, who knows? It may happen. Joe Rogan has had, I think, 100 old episodes removed from Spotify, but these old episodes, they're highly irrelevant. in the overall scheme of things because he's done so many episodes. It should have little or no impact. It looks like the CEO of Spotify does not want to cancel Joe Rogan. He sees that Joe Rogan is a huge draw, and he doesn't want to see his company upended because he's canceled Joe Rogan because of some extremist leftist whack jobs or what have you who do not have a reasonable self-esteem to tolerate a difference of opinion. And so that's really, it seems like what's going on there. So you have groups like ours, underground conservatives. We have people who've been posting different types of posts questioning the vaccine, many of them being quotes from Dr. Malone and excerpts of Dr. Malone's interview. What's happened is our group now has been cited for violations of safety by questioning the different status of vaccines and how effective they are. And it is not us that is questioning it. It is us basically just sharing a doctor's opinion. And we're not just talking about a general practitioner here. We're talking about a doctor who is a virologist and a vaccinologist. That is, he's an expert in the area of vaccines and viruses. He has worked on a number of vaccines and vaccine research in the past himself, Dr. Malone, that is. And so Dr. Malone is by many standards a very credible figure.
Suspended by Twitter. But who is Dr. Robert Malone? Now, Robert Malone happens to be the inventor of the mRNA technology that is being used to vaccinate millions of people around the world. So we're talking about a researcher who has come up with the mRNA technology of making vaccines. But believe it or not, Twitter, in its wisdom, has decided to suspend the account of a scientist who's come up with the mRNA vaccine, and it claims it has done this because he was allegedly spreading misinformation on COVID-19 vaccines. Let that sink in.
It is controversial, and it is alarming that a doctor like Dr. Malone would be so quickly canceled and quickly shut down just because he had a difference of opinion from another doctor, such as Dr. Fauci. So this is what's happening. They are canceling anything or trying to that has Dr. Malone in it. So any posts that we had on our group, Underground Conservatives, where Dr. Malone was questioning Dr. Fauci, questioning the vaccine being used across a broad spectrum of the population, boom, hit for a violation. Our group had accumulated 4 violations over the period of about 3 days, and these were based on posts that were basically released over a period of 3 weeks. But it was 3 days, it was boom, 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 boom. Hit those posts. They put us into, basically, we're in a warning zone here. They could try to remove the group, all these different things here. So we have to be extremely careful now. And we tried to petition and say, look, this is, again, a doctor who has a difference of opinion from another doctor. They should be able to share their differences of opinion. We're not endorsing one or the other, but we're not also responsible for fact-checking a scientist or a doctor who is a, again, vaccinologist and a virologist. We should not be, as everyday average citizens or managers of a group, a social media group, we should not be responsible for fact-checking a doctor who is esteemed and astute and very experienced in working with vaccines and viruses, period. That should escape us from that responsibility and bearing any type of punishment or what have you if there's an issue with a post that they don't like. What they should do is they should go to the source, because we didn't write the source and the person who posted it in the group didn't write the source. They should go to that original source and say, look, we question the veracity of this source, and we would like to say that we don't want this post being released, and they could stop it at the source. But instead, they are attacking and blaming the messenger. And the messenger, of course, would be our group members, and also would be us to a lesser degree. We should not be blamed again for the sharing of content and opinions, professional opinions of other doctors and scientists. We should not be, again, punished for that. They should go to the source of the content, whoever wrote the article, the producer of the article or what have you, the host website, etc., if they're on Facebook, and then go after them if they really have this issue. Don't go after the messengers, guys. There's nothing moral about it. There's nothing responsible about it. It is totally illogical that we could, again, fact check a doctor or a vaccinologist or a virologist. So, again, tying this to what's going on with Joe Rogan, this is why they're after Joe Rogan, because, again, he featured Dr. Malone on his show. And as you can see, they're going after him for a number of other things as well, too. There's other talk show hosts, such as Michael Savage from the Savage Nation, who also had Dr. Malone on his show.
You've got junkie musicians threatening to leave Spotify because Joe Rogan had a great doctor on, who I had on this podcast, by the way. Great doctor, highly credentialed, who raised questions about the vaccines. And you got these junkie musicians who are actually functioning like they do in China. They want total and absolute it's a Nazification of the American media. I've never seen anything happen so quickly in my life. And I don't know how long this podcast can last, because I've always been a truth teller.
You can see that Michael Savage had even said himself that there might be a day when he also, too, is canceled or his show is removed from the airways. And all of this canceling gets me to wondering, whatever happened to true liberalism? Or in other words, when did liberals stop being liberal anymore? And so I'm longing for those days. I never was a huge fan of liberalism, but I will tell you this. I appreciate and respect the old form of liberalism, that is, allowing people to have a difference of opinion, allowing people to voice their view, allowing people to interact and exist on equal footing, allowing these ideas to be shared in the common town square. I appreciate and respect the true form of liberalism much more than I do now. What has become of liberalism? Well, it has become a perverted concept, a perverted philosophy, one that is extremely intolerant, that it is extremely insensitive and extremely insecure, to the point where it will shut down any idea that questions their motive, that questions the veracity or the efficiency or efficacy of their stance. And if they can't have their stance questioned, and if their stance cannot stand up to criticism and concepts and critiquing, that means their system most likely is built on sand. In other words, their system probably is not foolproof and probably not true. That is where we stand here. It'll be interesting to see what goes on in this ongoing saga in the United States of America. I would like to share with you more next time and talk to you about some of the things they're trying to do with vehicles. That's right, your car, my car, trying to take those and control them, again, because there is a almost never-ending appetite to control the American people. Take care, Patriots. God bless. We'll see you guys next time.
Dr. Malone, however, has said that there is not enough testing in place to warrant for mass vaccinations at this point of time. The sudden suspension of Dr. Malone's account has also raised some serious doubts on Twitter's authority and even credibility. Does Twitter have enough experts with it who can actually suspend a Twitter account of a leading scientist, someone who was involved in the development of the mRNA vaccine?